Good morning. My name is Emily. I am from Cambridge in the United Kingdom, and I'm a teacher at the Ponte Lungo school in Rome. I usually do these webinars with my colleague Gabriel, but he is not with me this morning, so it's just me. It's a beautiful day in Rome. Blue skies. I would love to know who you are and where you are, and how you are, how you're doing this morning. I'm still a little bit sleepy, if I'm completely honest, but I've just had my coffee and I'm waiting for that to have its effect. So we're looking at architecture this morning, describing architecture, passives, and presenting a structure. I hope we're going to have some students who are able to interact. Otherwise, it's just going to be me chatting at the screen for an hour. So please let me know that you're there. Oh, hi, Domenico from Palermo. I lived in Palermo, Domenico. I was a teacher at the Myers Viale Regione school. For a year and a half, I lived in Palermo. Do you go to the Via Libertà or the Viale Regione school if you're a Myers student? It's even possible I knew you there. Well, hopefully Domenico is responding to me and I can go forward and look at these questions while I wait for a response. I think there is a bit of a pause between when the students write their messages and when I see them, but I see now there's from Palermo, but attends the military school in Naples. Okay, great. Hi, Tatiana. Good to meet you. From Lyon. Originally from Russia, living in Lyon for 3 years. Sleepy too. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so question 1. Do you prefer modern architecture or older styles? So Andrea and Tatiana, any other students? I'd love to have your opinions. And I'll answer the question for myself while I wait for some responses. I find it a little difficult to answer. I think I like both. There are good examples of both modern architecture and older styles. Maybe overall, I prefer older styles. I love to be in historical city centres surrounded by beautiful old architecture. Not necessarily really old. I live in Rome. There's a lot of very, very old architecture here. Obviously ancient, classical Roman, and then also a lot of medieval and Renaissance architecture. Yeah, which is wonderful. But I like modern architecture too if it's interesting. It's well done. I lived in London before, and I think London is a good example of a balance between some very old architecture from some medieval architecture, and then lots of Tudor and Stuart architecture, which is kind of the Renaissance period, but we don't really use the word Renaissance to talk about the UK. So I'd love to know from the students, do you prefer modern or older styles of architecture? From Andrea, Tatiana. And then we've got number 2. Has anything been built or renovated in your city recently? Also, to Andrea, to Tatiana, you could talk about Naples, Lyon, St. Petersburg, Palermo. In Rome, I'm sure. Oh, is that Andrea? Oh, good. We've got a couple of responses. Definitely prefer older styles. When I travel, I always like to discover the old city centre at first. Yeah. Yeah, good. I agree. I always go to the old city centre first as well. That's usually the most interesting bit. And Andrea, modern architecture. Cool. What is an example of, oh, well, yeah. So kind of question 4, what is your favorite building or structure and why? So to Tatiana and Andrea, what is an example of an older building that you love or a modern piece of architecture that you love? Yeah, and number 2 I was looking at before, has anything been built, renovated in your city recently? Lots of things in Rome. The Metro C line is the typical one that everybody always thinks of, which the Metro C line has been in progress, under construction for years now. The old city in Lyon is an amazing example. I have never visited Lyon, but I would love to. It's supposed to be very beautiful. Maybe I should come and teach there next. Naples, there's a modern metro. It's beautiful. That's very interesting. I've never found a beautiful metro before. They're always a little, in my experience, they're always a little bit ugly. So I'd love to see a more modern one. I'm sure it's possible to build a metro in a more interesting way. There's one beautiful metro stop in Rome, actually, called San Giovanni, which is again, it's a more recent metro stop, and it's a kind of a small museum because it's got lots of long corridors, and all of the corridors are lined with ancient Roman things, which I think they discovered when building the metro line, and so they're on display for free when you go through that stop. And the Paris metro inside is not very nice, but it has quite a beautiful Art Deco design for when you enter the metro. So the sign to say this is a metro stop, lots of them have this beautiful old design from when the metro was first built. Yeah, I agree about this. Massimo Theatre and other old buildings in Palermo. The cathedral in Palermo is amazing. So, Andrea, you've offered a correction here, but actually the original version is correct. Other old buildings, because other is an adjective in this case. So like old as well, in English there's no S on the adjectives. Other old buildings in Palermo. Yeah. Palermo's full of, I lived in the historical centre in Palermo. It was really great to live in the middle of such a beautiful old city. Okay, let's just finish with question 2 here before we go on, because we're going to look at lots of passives, and this question is written in a passive tense. Has anything been built or been renovated in your city recently? So could you guys give me a sentence to answer that question 2, and try and use a passive verb just like in the question, and we'll talk in more detail about passives in a second. Fascinated by the cathedrals in Lyon. I like to go to the cathedrals of Saint-Jean, Saint-Nitieu, smell the cold stone. Oh, lovely. That's very vivid description. Yeah. I like a good cathedral. I think maybe I should make more of an effort to visit cathedrals in general. I've been to St. Peter's, obviously, in Rome. But I like the old Gothic cathedrals. They feel a bit more like home for me rather than a big, more neoclassical cathedral like St. Paul's. The UK is full of amazing old Gothic cathedrals. I don't know what the Lyon cathedrals are like, but I know France has a lot of amazing Gothic cathedrals as well, so maybe they're more similar to that style. I'll have to check. I'll definitely have to visit Lyon at some point, I think. Yeah. I like the idea of the cold stone. I think that's something that you feel more viscerally in. I think I feel that kind of sense of cold, ancient, quiet atmosphere, maybe in a Gothic cathedral. Yeah, than in one of the Roman cathedrals. So I'm waiting for question 2 now. I don't know, you guys might already have sent your answers, and I'm just waiting for them to arrive. I mentioned the Palermo Cathedral. It's really, from the outside, the Palermo Cathedral is one of the most amazing cathedrals I've ever seen. It's a crazy, amazing, fantastic mix of styles from North African and Arabic influence, and then Norman, and then some 19th century bits as well. And in combination, it makes the amazing very beautiful external side to the cathedral. Inside, I always found was a little bit of a disappointment because the outside is so amazing, and then the inside is nice, but not extraordinary like the outside. What we really need is like on WhatsApp. Palermo is wonderful, yeah. I think sometimes people put emojis in the message, and in the chat, for me, they show up like you can see on the screen here. It's a little weird. What I was saying is we really need, like on WhatsApp, we need that, I need that ... so that I can see if the students are in the process of writing a message or not. I don't want to stay and wait if you guys are ready to move on. I'll go on to the next slide. And if you did respond to number 2, then I can see that afterwards. Okay. Fry scraper. Find passives in the text. What tenses are they? So I'm going to read through this passage, and there are a few passives in it. They're all in several different tenses. This is a description of a building in London, quite a famous modern building. So, oh, we've got a good response from Tatiana for question 2 before. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lachta Center skyscraper has been built a year ago. This is a corn-shaped tower that no one loves. Okay. I'll find a photo of that after so I can see. I can imagine a corn-shaped tower. There's a similar one there's a kind of a corn-shaped skyscraper in London. So just a little bit of grammar for Tatiana. You said a year ago. So if we specify, I'm going to jump back here. If you specify when it happened, then we wouldn't use the present perfect. So in the question, it just says recently. It's not at a particular time. A year ago is because it's specific. We would say the Lacta Center skyscraper was built a year ago or has been built recently. Yeah, great. Okay. Okay. So I'll read through here. And you guys can tell me the passives in the text and what tense they are. A unique commercial skyscraper is located at 20 Fenchurch Street in London's financial district. It was nicknamed the walkie-talkie because of its shape, but a few years ago it earned a different nickname. It was discovered that when sunlight shines onto the concave mirrored facade, it is reflected directly onto the streets below the building. Temperatures as high as 70 degrees Celsius have been observed during the summer, and properties along the street, as well as a parked car, have been damaged. After these events, the building was given the nicknames Walkie Scorchy and Fry Scraper. In 2015, it was awarded the Carbuncle Cup for the worst new building in the UK. So these are a couple of puns. Oh, you didn't see that. These are a couple of puns here. Walkie Scorchy and Fry Scraper. To scorch is similar to burn. You scorch something, you burn something. Or a scorching day is a very hot day. So Walkie Scorchy is a kind of pun on the walkie-talkie. And then instead of skyscraper, we have Fry Scraper, which is a cooking verb. And so where are the passives? I want to know where are the passives in this text and what is the tense of the passives. I'm going to show you guys a photo quickly of this building because it's kind of difficult to understand what it's talking about without the building to... Oh, okay. Andrea's given us a list of all the passives, which is fantastic. I'll put up this picture quickly. And Andrea, could you tell me what is the name of the tenses of all of those? So you could just write a list of tenses and I can see from the order. And while you do that, I'll put up this picture. So I'm just going to... Yeah, so I hope you guys can see. So this is the building, and it has this strange shape. So when the sunlight comes onto the glass here, the shape of the glass then directs the sunlight down onto the street and creates incredibly hot temperatures on the street. The heat is concentrated by that glass. Lots of people think it's quite an ugly building as well. I think from a distance, it's a bit ugly, it's a bit strange. When you're very close to the building, if you stand at the bottom of the building and look up, and you have this big glass sheet kind of looming above you, I think that it's quite impressive in that case. Okay, let's go back to the lesson. Okay, let's go through Andrea's list. So skyscraper is located at 25th Street. Great. What's the tense? Skyscraper is located. So we can call this number one. Skyscraper is located. Number one, what is the tense? Then we've got it was nicknamed. Number two, again, what's the tense? It's the same. It was nicknamed. It was discovered. And every tense has a passive form. Okay, fantastic. Is located, present simple. Good, 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 good. Two, past simple, absolutely. Was nicknamed, was discovered. Is reflected, oh yeah, good, okay. Number three was discovered, past simple. Good stuff. Is reflected, we'll call that number four. It is reflected. Present simple, perfect. Okay, have been observed. Temperatures as high as 70 degrees. Okay, great. Present perfect. Have been damaged. Present perfect, and it was awarded. Past simple, fantastic. Okay, cool. Okay. So every tense has an active voice, we call it, an active voice, and a passive voice. And the theory for each tense is the same if it is active or passive. So before we talked a bit about if you have a finished period, like a year ago, a specific finished time period, we can't use the present perfect. And this is true in the passive and in the active. So the grammatical theory is the same. All of everything you've learned about how to use the different tenses, what is true in the active is also true in the passive voice. Okay, how are passives formed? So I would like you guys to tell me there are two elements which we always, always, always have in a passive sentence. Two things are always present. I suppose if you include a subject, then it's three things. So subject, and then what other two elements? In every tense in the passive, we have these two things. Oh, that's fine, Andrea. I also forgot was given. I just looked at your list, and so that's fine. So what two elements? Okay, fantastic. Exactly. That's exactly it. We always have in a passive sentence the verb to be in some form, and then the principal verb is a past participle. So the verb to be changes in the different tenses, and the principal verb is always a past participle. Example, the walkie-talkie was awarded the carbuncle cup. So awarded is the principal verb, is a past participle, and then to be in the past simple becomes was. Okay, so we have 5 sentences, and you guys need to put the verb into the specified tense. So number 1, a past simple passive. The Sydney Opera House in 1973. So you guys can write Andrea and Tatiana. Oh, it's not Andrea, is it? It's Domenico. I just remembered your name was different to the YouTube name. I'll try and remember. Domenico. Oh, Domenico is way ahead. Okay, good. Number 1, the Sydney Opera House was opened in 1973. And again, we have a specific finished date in 1973, and Tatiana's got it too. Domenico and Andrea. Okay. I will try to remember to call you Domenico, because I think maybe that's what you prefer, because it's what you told me at the beginning. But I will probably forget and call you Andrea again. Great. And then we've got number 2. Many of Italy's historic buildings have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Perfect. Present perfect. Passive. Number 3, we've got another past simple. Negative, just like you guys have said. The Eiffel Tower wasn't built in 1999. Absolutely. Another negative for number 4. Present perfect. Negative. Okay. So Andrea, you've got, this is so close, but we've got the Pyramid of Giza. So it is a third person singular subject. So the auxiliary verb have needs to agree with the subject. Oh, yes. Very nice. The Pyramid of Giza hasn't been turned into, oops, a theme park. Yeah, great. Exactly. Yeah. And finally, number 5, I think. See, I called you Andrea again already. Domenico gave us here. The Empire State Building isn't used as an antenna to contact aliens. So I can. Okay, and then just to point out again, I'm sure it's clear already, but we've got in 1999 with the past simple, wasn't built in 1999. And then number 4, we don't have a specific time. We're talking in general, in history, the Pyramid of Giza hasn't been turned into a theme park. So when it's not referring to a finished time period, present perfect. In this case, it's just all of history. The Pyramid of Giza hasn't been turned into a theme park. Hi, Sarah. Is not used, absolutely. And we had it from Tatiana too. Great. Okay. More reading for me. And again, find the passives in the text and tell me what tenses they are. So we're going to read about a Japanese building project now. The Chuo Shinkansen rail line will be built between the 2 major Japanese cities, Tokyo and Nagoya. The trains are expected to reach speeds of 505 kilometers per hour, which means a distance of 286 kilometers can be covered in only 40 minutes. The train's speed is increased through the use of magnets, which reduce friction. Originally, this new rail system was projected to cost 40.6 billion euros. But because of the need to dig so many underground tunnels, the designers now say that the project will be completed at a cost of 71.8 billion euros. Okay, great. So we've got some answers here, and Sarah's no problem. Will be built. Okay, so we're not, you guys aren't giving me the tenses again. But good, yes. We've got, I can't use the lesson and respond to the chat at the same time, but we've got will be built. We've got next, are expected, good. From Andrea and Tatiana. Can be covered, great. The train speed is increased, yeah. Through the use of magnets, which was originally this new rail system was projected, good, got that one. And finally will be completed, great. Okay, so let's look, we don't need to look at all of these. Will be built, what tense is this first one? What type of passive? Great, yep. Future simple specifically, absolutely. Okay, to present simple, yeah. Are expected, so we've got it's are for the plural. 3, present simple Andrea has written. So can is in the present tense. What type of verb is can? Also will. So will and can are verbs within a particular category. So what is that category? What type of verb? So will, we could say, is a future simple passive, but it is also an example of another type of passive, like can. can be covered, will be built. Modal verbs, yeah, great. Yeah. So will be built, can be covered. These are also examples of modal passives. Okay, that's good. What are some other modal verbs, guys? Modal and semi-modal verbs. Could you just give me a list? Because again, oh, yes, let's finish going through these. Is increased, present simple. Was projected, past simple. And finally, will be completed. Can, should, can, could, should, may, might are all modal verbs, absolutely. Must, could, should, would, yeah, great. So we've got lots of pure modal verbs. What about semi-modals? Because semi-modals can be passive as well. Yeah, great. Need, yeah. And the semi-modals are verbs which are, usually there's more than one part to the verb. So need is just one part, one word. Although actually, no, need is a semi-modal because it's need to. So terrible example from me. Need is a semi-modal verb because need to do something. But must is a modal. You must study. What are some more semi-modals? Need to. Ought to. Have to. Great. Have got to. Okay. Dare. I think dare is not a modal verb. Used to is interesting. Yeah, I suppose used to is a type of modal verb. Might as well. Yeah. Okay, that's great, guys. That's plenty. Okay, and all of these can be passive. How are future and modal passives formed? Modal verb with to be in the form of an infinitive. And then the past participle, as always. So we know that modal verbs need a bare infinitive. I'm not sure I like this description because the modal verb should not have to. A modal verb needs a bare infinitive without the preposition to. Should be. The rail line should be completed, so we don't have to by 2037. Okay, so we have some questions. Okay, I'm going to skip these questions. We only have 8 minutes, so let's try and whiz through this vocab, and then there are some more questions after that we could answer in the passive. And also, yes, Tatiana's written had better is another semi-modal verb. Okay, so we'll start with work in progress. What is the definition of a work in progress? I'll read through these. 1, to destroy something. 2, to restore something or make it new again. 3, not yet finished. 4, a person's greatest work. 5, unpleasant to look at, and 6, the profile of buildings against the sky. So a work in progress, and then you can just tell me the number here. Oh, yeah, great. Not yet finished, not yet finished. Very nice. To demolish. So you could write, to keep it as clear as possible, to demolish and then plus whichever number. But it's good for me if I can see in your answer 2 with 1. Good. Okay, great, yes. To demolish something, to destroy something. Destroy is a more general verb. You could use destroy about lots of different things. You could destroy a relationship or destroy your health. To demolish is particularly with big physical objects like buildings. Okay, skyline. Okay, so we have from Sada 3 with 6, and from Andrea 3 with 5. It is 6. Andrea 3, 6. Okay, yeah. Maybe you just miscounted the numbers. Yeah. The skyline as a noun is the profile of buildings against the sky. So usually when we talk about the skyline, it should be for a city with lots of skyscrapers. Masterpiece. Great. Yeah, Andrea's got it. 4 with 4. A person's greatest work, and Sarah 4 with 4. Great. A person's greatest work, a masterpiece. Then from Andrea, we got 5, 5. Yeah, good. And eyesore is something unpleasant to look at. Yeah. Something sore. So this is a noun, an eyesore, but this part here, sore is an adjective. Something sore is something which causes you pain. And so the last one, to renovate, to restore something or make it new again. Okay, so we had a bit of vocabulary. And now we have some questions to use the vocabulary and also the passives. So you guys, in your city, number 1 up here, are there any works in progress and when are they going to be finished? I'm particularly interested in this second half of the sentence because this is where we have the passive. So when are the works in progress in your city going to be finished? Or when is a particular work in progress going to be finished? I'll write an example as well. So here's an example for Rome. Oh, I made a mistake. In a few years, there should be an S at the end there. In a few years. We only have 3 minutes. You guys, I mean, really, you can respond to any question here that you like. We've got which old buildings should be renovated? What could they be used as? So as meaning in what capacity? What could they be used as? Are there any old buildings that should be demolished? Which structures do you think are masterpieces? Should they be preserved? Which structures are eyesores? What could be done to improve them? Which buildings stand out in your city's skyline? What changes could be made to improve your city? So number 7 is in general. Milan, there are lots of works in progress, but the most important is the new underground line. It will be finished around next year. Really nice, Sarah. The only little thing is you've got this superlative, so the most important. Yeah, great sentence there. Sentences. We have another minute, or maybe another 2 minutes, because I started a couple of minutes late. So responses to any of these questions, guys, but I'd like to see a passive in your response. So Andrea, Tatiana, do you want to give me an answer to one of these? We've got another one from Sarah. The old slaughterhouse should be renovated. It would be turned into a new cinema. Good. Yeah. So for the structure, that's great. Should be renovated, would be turned into a new cinema. I think maybe, so you've used would, the modal verb would, which is good. This is a modal verb for conditional sentences. I think this is not really a conditional. I think maybe you're making, it's a suggestion. So I like it with could. It could be turned into a new cinema because it's, from what I understand, it's your suggestion, Sarah. It's your idea of what could be done with the old slaughterhouse. But really nice example. In Lyon, there is the new tramway line in work in progress. It's going to be finished this summer. Really good. Yeah, a great example. So Tatiana would say, in Lyon, there is the new tramway line. Oh, okay. Now let me redo that. In Lyon, the new tramway line is a work in progress. Work in progress is kind of a noun. Work in progress. It's going to be finished this summer. Great. In Naples, a new big modern metro. Okay, Andrea, can you give me that sentence in the passive? It's great to use the present continuous, which is maybe particularly difficult in the passive, but it's absolutely the correct tense. It's something in progress, in course now. So we need to start with a new big modern metro at the start of the sentence, or in Naples, a new big modern metro, and then in the present continuous. Oh, I need to stop actually. We don't really use would for a proposal in that way. We use would in conditional sentences with if. So you could say, if the slaughterhouse was renovated, well, that would be, okay, it would be turned into a new cinema. That would, yeah. But again, that's not really, it's not a proposal. It's more of a prediction. I think for a proposal, we would use could or should if you want it to be a stronger idea. We should turn the slaughterhouse should be turned into a new cinema, or could, to make a suggestion or a proposal. Okay. I need to finish, but I'm just going to put this sentence into the passive because it's a bit slow, the system of your messages getting to me. Oh, a new big modern metro. So good. Okay. The only thing is metro is singular. So is being built. Really, really nice. A new big modern metro is being built. Really good. Many people in Lyon think that the Confluence Museum is an eyesore. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, that was good. That was great. So much interaction. I have to finish now, but it was good to meet everyone, and have a lovely morning and afternoon. Bye, guys.